When we're building out our stories, one of the things that makes a story compelling is by having what is known as polarity. And if you were to go ahead and turn to your workbooks, if you I believe it's what page is it? 14. 14 in your workbook. What you're going to see is what polarity is two different states that are entirely different. So if I said, we're talking about polarity, I said the opposite of day is night. The opposite of inhale is exhale, right? The opposite of up is down, right? And so polarity is just basically two opposite states. Everybody get that? Yes or yes, right? You guys know there's, for your battery, one side is negative, right? And one side is positive. Everybody get that, right? Yes or yes. Now, what happens is a lot of times when you're trying to tell a compelling story, your story becomes more engaging when the story actually has some polarity. And so what it means is that there is some contrast, right? Because what doesn't make for a very compelling story is if there's a story and it is the exact same state throughout the entire story. So if you went to the movie theater and you went to go see a movie and there was a family and they started off, the family was broke, sick, and disgusted. And then in the middle of the movie, they were broke, sick, and disgusted. And then it ended with them being broke, what else did I say? Sick and disgusted, right? That makes for a pretty horrible movie. Would you agree with me? Yes or yes? Right? How many of you leave that movie like, ugh, right? Like, that was a horrible movie. Why? Because you want to see some kind of a change in the state. Yes or yes? Yes. Right? You want to see some type of a contrast there, right? Most time when there's a movie and they're broke, sick, and they're disgusted, we normally expect that by the end of the movie, what's going to happen? Things are going to turn around and things get better. Like, you guys remember the movie Pursuit of Happiness? Right? And most of the time, your audience will stick with you, even if the struggle is throughout the whole thing. But there needs to be that moment where there's going to be a change in the state. And so even though the whole movie, he was pretty much struggling, but that end part, he got the breakthrough. We felt happy for him, right? We thought it was absolutely amazing. And so there was a change in the actual state. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? Yes, yes. That's why, too, many movies will start off like this. You get into the movie theater, you're sitting there, you're waiting, and all of a sudden you see this beautiful home, and you can hear laughter and noise in the home. And you see the mother is in the kitchen. She has the children around her and she's cooking and she's talking to the kids. She said, what do you want to eat and so forth? And then you hear the motor outside and then you see a Volvo pull up in the driveway. And then the husband gets out of the car. He opens the door. The kids run to him. He gives them a little hug. He goes up to the wife. He gives her a kiss, right? And everything seems so perfect. What do you know is normally going to end up happening in that movie? Tragedy. There's going to be some drama, right? And so it starts off so perfect that the next time somebody gets in the car and they're approaching the intersection, you sitting there like, ooh, they're going to get in an accident, aren't they? Right? Because you're expecting that there's going to have to be some type of a state change. And a lot of times they purposely would have them focus on the intersection because they know you're waiting on it to happen and then they don't have the accident. But then what you end up finding out is that the husband's living a double life and all this. You find something crazy out, right? And now all of a sudden like, oh, it's getting good. It's getting real good. Why did the movie just get good all of a sudden, right? Because there's a change in state there. So what happens is a lot of times when I'm working with my clients and we're building out their story library and we're working on their different stories, what tends to happen a lot of times is depending on the nature of their story, I know where it's going, so I need to create polarity, so I ask questions so I can get the other part. So in other words, if I know someone went through a divorce and it was very ugly, it was very emotional, and they're very quick to talk about how ugly it was, how emotional it was, what I do is I tell them, well, I know he's a jerk, I know he's horrible, I know he broke your heart, but tell me about the time you first met him. They'd be like, no, you want me to tell you? No, tell me about it. Well, I went to Starbucks and I went to go get some coffee. And I was over there going to get some coffee. And then he came in there and he was like, you don't need any sugar for that. And I was like, why? And he was like, because girl, you so sweet. And I was like, that has got to be the most horrible, most corny line ever. But it was still sort of cool the way he said it. And then he came and sat down next to me. I was like, weird, creep. But then he kept talking to me. And then I literally moved away and he moved again. And at first I thought he was so creepy, but he kept talking to me. And then next thing you know, I thought he was pretty funny. And like everything coming out of his eye, he was laughing. And then we started exchanging numbers. We were talking nonstop. We started going on trips and everything was awesome and so forth. Now, do you understand the reason why I'm doing that is because I understand where the story is going. It's going to turn into an ugly divorce. But who cares about an ugly divorce if there was never a time that you guys were happy and things were going great, right? But now if she shares a story about one time I was in Starbucks, ladies, I met the most amazing guy. He was so corny. She's telling you this whole story and you're with her and you're laughing and so forth and this and that. And then out of nowhere she goes, and then one day he gave me a call. And he said, I'm not coming home. And then I heard a lady on the other line saying, you need to hurry up and tell her and hang up the phone. And that was his girlfriend that he planned on divorcing me so he could marry. Now that's not gonna hit you like that if she didn't tell you all the little good and awesome things about it, right? If she starts off, yeah, he was a jerk, he did this, he did that, he did this, and so forth. Like, all right, yeah, we get it. He's a jerk. I get it. Everybody get that? Yes or yes? Right? Everybody see that? Yes or yes? Right? When somebody says that they got fired from the job, I ask them, how was the job? How were you getting paid? What did you like about the job? What was the amazing things, right? You get that, right? So what I'm trying to find is what is known as polarity in their story. Everybody get that? Yes or yes?